they set up the voice as someone who doesn't believe in you, someone that you want to spite, and then he throws a challenge down at you, an insult, and you just kind of want to go, oh, well, alright, screw you, old man. Yeah, I'm not going to turn back. Let us regard the night. Just the language in this game is so beautifully composed. The diction, the characterization, what characters say, how they say it. Let us seek out our destination. So you can see here that the Titan stars are already here. In a standard Pyre game, this would be a perfectly clear, not ominously red night sky, and these Titan stars wouldn't be here and instead would have normal stars. You can see here that the star of the Hive Weaver engulfed the star of the Old Cutter. So there are more normal astrological phenomenon going on until the Titan stars appear. However, Goal the South Star is always here in this part of the game because it is showing us where the first rite will take place.
Concilia.
Indaratarios.
Damariliosta.
Bravo sta frati.
Kereamios.
And so we depart our little prologue setting in the southern sandfolds and make our way towards vaguely more hospitable areas of the downside. So this is a setup for another game mechanic.
Interuvina.
Loriomatas?
I should note from that last text there that the flavor texts sometimes get updated. And so I will make sure to show them every time I notice them being updated.
Lapi.
Caderas.
Pistalium.
And so this explains why everyone kind of just turns to the player to make navigational choices, which can have an influence on gameplay. For example, as you noticed, Blooming Pool promised less attention and Hollow Root promised an associate who owes something to Ruki. Every navigational choice you make will give some boons, or perhaps some issues, depending on your choice. It might make things easier, it might make things harder. Never to a game-making or game-breaking extent, but it's certainly a choice to make. And so in this case, Jodariel thinks she can find rare flora here, and Ruki thinks, well, he knows that someone owes him here. So either we can collect on a debt, or try to collect on a debt, or see if we can find something valuable. Now, because I've played the game before and I know it well, I can say that both options are equally good. It doesn't really matter which one, the game doesn't want to punish you for making a choice this early on. Either Ruki gets something valuable from his associate, which you can sell, or you can find something valuable in Blooming Pool, which you can sell as well, for, I believe, the same price. I will choose to go to Hollow Root, for no real reason other than just because Blooming Pool is kind of a cesspit and gross, and I think that my reader would rather have some vague amount of comfort, or at least more comfort than the Blooming Pools would offer. So here's this. It's a trade item worth 30 coins. Trade items serve no purpose except to make you money later on. So we make our way to the Ridge of Gaul. So this is the preparatory phase. You can see that there's an icon for the Black Wagon with a dialogue box here that indicates that someone in the Black Wagon wants to have a chatter with you, in this case, Rookie.
Para, frati.
Me proxisilam.
Lustare isim.
Soldiamente mal.
And there are some little trinkets around the Black Wagon, some interactable objects. I thought I could light this again, apparently I was wrong. The drive imps, which are little creatures that operate rotors above that turn the wheels. They're kind of living engines. You can also poke and bother them. Sweep away some of the cobwebs. There are little trinkets around that belong to the exiles that you travel with, Rookie's family portrait. And if you hadn't noticed already, there is a man sleeping here. You'll get to that later.
Nunca raga siya.
Satam ras.
Cognare munca.
Mm-hmm. So I like to think that it's significantly more terrifying, because in a standard game, the Titan Stars kind of emerge one by one, but in a true Nightwing game, they all kind of blaze out of the dark together.
Behold, the Titan Stars.
Just mouse over them to get rid of the little twinkling that shows that they're new. So there is actually one additional rule to the True Nightwing Mode that I forgot to mention that some of you may have noticed when I was hovering over it earlier. Not only are all of the Titan Stars active at the start of the game, you are actually required to select at least 3 of them. So, not only is the game locked at the hardest difficulty setting, they are actually required to make it a little more difficult for yourself. And with 3 Titan Stars active, that can be a lot more difficult. However, you do fortunately have the choice of which 3 to activate, and they all have different effects. For example, the Star of Islak Astralborn generally just makes the entire match harder overall. The enemy team is faster, the AI is more advanced. I played with Islak Star once, and I honestly don't think I even got a single... I don't think I scored at all. The enemy team moved so quickly, so constantly, I just couldn't even react to them. I may try it during this playthrough just to give myself a challenge, just to see what I can do, but I'm going to generally avoid it. Now, the house rule that I like to put down is each celestial landmark that the rites take place at is actually the resting place of a greater titan. And so the Ridge of Gold, for example, is the corpse of Lord Gandroth. And so I like to always activate the Titan Star associated with the landmark that I'm at. So in this case, I'll activate Lord Gandroth. I traditionally activate Archbeast Sungris.
Archbeast Sungris.
Sungris, sorry. As you can see, it makes the enemy's Pyre tougher at the start. It gives them an additional 30 points. So that's 30 more points that I have to quelch before I win. Gandroth, if I didn't mention before, gives them +8 presence, which increases the size of their auras. Presence is the statistic associated with aura size. And then the third one I always leave up as a little bit of a wild card. Tattered Mantle is a relatively easy one to deal with. Time Singer Harn as well. Harn, Dullness the Locket, I believe Endriga the Widow as well, are all Titans that were not actually killed. They were not actually, there are not celestial landmarks associated with them. So those are kind of 3 wild cards that are more available for me to make use of, because they're not locked into a specific place. I think I will go with Time Singer Harn for this particular case. So you can see that I'm getting +9% Enlightenment, and Enlightenment is the experience point equivalent here. So my characters will level up a bit faster by way of my choices. I believe all of the Titan stars give +3%, except for Islak, who gives, I think,
Islak, Astral Ball.
10%. So you can see how much of a challenge Islak is, giving a full little more than 3 times more than any other Titan star. So now that I've selected my 3 Titan stars, I will have adversaries that charge up their stamina, or don't charge it up faster, but have more stamina to use for their abilities. They'll have a bigger pyre, and their auras will be larger. So overall, a somewhat more challenging experience. Thank you for spelling that out, loading screen.
Reader, the stars align at last. You reach the Ridge of Gaul at the appointed time, and your triumvirate is ready.
God, the way he rolls his R's.
Your adversaries in the rites this eve shall be the accusers. Whose ever pyre yet burns once the other is extinguished shall step closer to freedom. Now let the rites commence.
Simquagre.
Nunca tigra.
Chumaga Versen.
Yarusatemlo Sampia.
So as you can see, we've sort of stepped up into an identity that we didn't quite mean to assume, as the Nightwing Triumvirate. What that means, we will see. Hi, Lendl. So, of course, as with all acts of identity theft, we've sort of taken on some adversaries that don't necessarily belong to us. But that's alright, because we're going to kick their ass anyway.
Begin.
Ah, fuck.
Oh, there goes Headwind.
Oh, can it?
Have the accusers underestimated you?
Probably. So that there on the side is a feat of glory. It's a little way for me to earn a little more cash, which I'm not interested in right now. Come on, come on. There we go. So you may notice that I don't use Jodariel much. Yeah, whatever, Lendl. I don't fucking care.
It seems that you have flustered the accusers.
Arunca.
Have you any idea what that Lendl did to deserve his exile?
Yes, I do, because I've played the game before. He's a bastard, and I don't like him. But anyway, you may notice I don't use Jodariel much. That's because, as a demon, her strength is more defensive. She moves very slowly, but her aura is massive. So I can cover my entire Pyre, just as they are now, with all three of them, but she could do it by herself, which makes it more difficult for someone to get in there. They can still jump in there, they can fling the orb in there, but those are both a bit more difficult than just running in. That being said, she also has a massive offensive value. She deals more damage than the other two characters, so because the enemy team isn't going to move that much, I'm going to take advantage of that here. But I have to be careful because they might catch it, but they won't this time. So,
flinging the orb into the flames like that.
So as you can see, she deals a whopping 30 damage.
Using such tricks.
Yeah, so that's the bonus to using the fling mechanic is no one jumps into the Pyre, so no one gets banished. You get to keep all three people. But if you time it wrong, the enemy team might catch it, you might miss. It's just overall more dangerous. Or they can jump at you like that.
Good.
Oh, that was close. That was a little screw up on my part. Damn. I don't know why I keep trying to fling it when I'm trying to jump. There we go. I'm definitely kind of a Rookie main. I really like Rookie's strong offensive abilities. His speed. He doesn't deal a lot of damage, but that doesn't matter if they can't stop you from jumping in again and again and again.
Well,
Dang it.
now that was exciting.
So you can see Jodariel's offensive powers here.
Tis taken. Spectacularly done.
Now later in the game when things get harder and more intense, I'm going to be coordinating my triumvirate a lot more. Right now I don't really have to put... Oh shoot. I was about to say I don't have to put a lot of thought into using everyone.
All for naught.
I'm also playing with significantly fewer abilities than I'm kind of used to. It's that curse of starting a brand new game from scratch where, like, ah, shoot. You're used to having all these abilities and all these, like, well-leveled characters.
Twas dangerously close.
But now you're in a brand new game and it's like you don't have any of that.
Rookie doused to the adversary's
Alright.
flames.
So the important thing is I'm beating the crap out of them and they're not even close.
Yes. Such chaos.
Oh, not quite.
Poof goes Lendl.
God, this last little bit is driving me crazy.
Glorious.
There we go.
It is done.
Just had to get tricky with it there.
You have prevailed. Rejoice then in your single fleeting victory.
I will, voice. Thank you.
Guron Salashe. Bask now in the wisdom of the scribes. The exiled Jodariel has gained enlightenment. Only the enlightened can regain their freedom.
So this is where I begin to do some character building stuff. Every character has 2 trees that they can go down, which generally follow along the lines of becoming individually more powerful and providing more buffs to their team. Generally, it's not a hard and fast rule.
The demon scribe bestows his favor.
It never really dawned on me how kick-ass a title like the Demon Scribe is. Especially for someone like Solia Mur, who is a very... At the time he gets that title, is a very withdrawn character.